It's Tuesday, which means Bo and I get to argue over the mock draft simulator via our friends at Pro Football Focus. Any special contingencies before we dive into this mock draft? It's the first time we've done this since the Cardinals have picked fourth.
Yeah, I beg of you. I know if you have some sort of conviction for a pick, don't just make the selection on behalf of me
I've never done
the viewers out there. This is a team effort. This is a community effort. This isn't watch Johnny mock draft for the Arizona Cardinals.
We're always on the same page. I've never picked a player with without Bo's stamp of approval. We're going to start the draft right now. Mock draft simulator, 4th overall.
Are you going to trade up? A little tougher when you're staring it down, huh?
No, it's not. Kiss my ass. All right. So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to
hear it now.
We're going to talk to the Patriots, number 4, number 3, and then 35. They would do the trade right now. Would they do it for 66? Sounds like they would do that as well. Are you comfortable with that, Bo?
With one of your 3rd-round picks? Let's get the lowest 3rd-round pick on there and see how far they go.
62% chance it's accepted. Would you do that? Just you want me to offer it?
I want to roll the dice and I want to see how this draft plays out.
Okay. You're digging your own grave here. Look, needs QB, wide receiver, tackle, edge rusher. So you're not in a position where you want to trade with New England.
Not right now.
So you're passing on Marvin to hoard pick 85 so we can take a running back from the ACC. Awesome. Let's do it. Let's start this draft. Oh my goodness, it happened. Wow.
Well, look who just looks like a genius. Marvin Harrison Jr. still on the board at 4 overall.
We love you, Jaden. Jaden, we love you.
Jaden Daniels goes 3rd overall to the Patriots. Caleb Williams went 2nd overall, so the Bears took Drake. May or may not bust.
You can only imagine Caleb refused to play there, which is low-key hilarious. That's what that happened in that scenario.
Let's have Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's run the card up to the podium. We did it. We did it, everybody. Just disregard the first hour of this podcast and the debate that we had.
All going to work out like it should be. It's all going to be fine.
Red Sea. Wow, isn't it crazy? MHJ available at 4. Who knew? All right, so we're back on the clock. 21st overall, the ever-dropping Houston Texans pick. Took the wide receiver. Last time we were in this spot, Johnny, you went with Latu, the edge rusher at UCLA.
Yes.
Damon and I did book our travel arrangements for the Senior Bowl, which Latu will be a part of. Can't wait to see him up close and personal. Terrion Arnold, the cornerback from Alabama, good option there, as the Cardinals absolutely have a need at corner. And then got Chris Braswell, who's an edge, who's on the rise too from Bama. But you know, and Trice, who was in the Natty last night, didn't have the best game, but I like Latu here, don't you?
Yeah, I do want to see what kind of interest we can get in the form of a trade. And while I don't want to help Philadelphia, I do like the idea of, could you recoup a top 60 pick to go down a couple spots here? Because there are some options. And I do think the Cardinals, if they're going to trade back, it's going to be with the Houston pick. Are you okay if I just kind of entertain what they'd be willing to do? Could you maybe probably pick 50? No. 57? No. 97? Would you go back 4 spots for a top 100 pick, Bo?
It's not bad. I mean, there's nobody I'm in love with right now. If I made the pick right now, if I was going to stick and pick, it would be Latu.
Yeah, I like him a lot. But
yeah,
again, I mean, is he is a 3rd round pick at the end of the 3rd round worth it? Man, it really just depends on how much you love this class. Because I feel like you could trade down and you could get Jordan Morgan at 25.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's going to be plenty of these guys still on the board. I mean, even if you pass on Latu, you've got Trice sitting right there at the edge position. Sandra Day O'Connell, Arizona product. Yeah, I mean, I got no problem with that. It's not the worst trade in the world.
No, and I think you're telling me they need every pick possible. And this is the problem with Houston's pick now. We thought it was going to be in this territory. We'd be down on.
I would say that Latu's way better than Trice. So if
He is, no doubt about that. The problem though is we thought we were going to be eating good with Newton and company, or Jared Verse, Dallas Turner. I mean, I do think Latu represents kind of the last of what I feel like is a true top 20 talent that the Cardinals can acquire at this pick.
I think the move would be to just stick and pick then.
Okay. I'm comfortable with that. I want elites. I can't be a hypocrite and continue to water down a draft when I'm trying to burn picks at will. I think this is an easy pick. I feel like a lot of our drafts have been the same because we're presented with these kind of situations, but it's just like I look at this kid from Washington and he's always available at the top of the second, and he is unequivocally the best option when you consider that the Cardinals could not get Fashanu or Joe Altbo.
Yeah, Fadnu was, despite Washington having a tough time last night, he was one of the guys that did fine. He only gave up.
He was good.
2 pressures. Yeah.
Look at that, 71. I mean, he played better against them than he did Washington and Oregon State.
Yeah,
Washington State.
With only 1 pick though in the second round, and is Chris Jenkins gone yet?
Oh man, now you're speaking my language. He is not. Now let's look at a trade back scenario if you guys can stomach it. So 37, 35. I would want to try to steal somebody's third rounder so we can use it today. So Vikings 35 to 42, but see, they don't have a third rounder to use. So we go to New Orleans. They don't have one. These teams that Jacksonville 48 and 79.
See if we can do it.
You want to make that trade?
Get to us at 48 though.
He's player 52.
Okay.
Let's try it. We're going to try it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And you can all yell at me. All right. Offer trade. Not been accepted. So listen, I don't have a problem just taking them right here. This is our mock draft. We can do whatever we want. Are you comfortable with this?
Yeah, I mean, Chris Jenkins last night was a madman.
Look at that.
Yeah, he was his second best grade of the season. I mean, what he was able to do last night, 3 pressures, second best grade of the season. He's the third best defensive lineman in the draft. Like, it's an absolute need.
They're going to grade us poorly. I don't care. We're in a position now where we're playing with house money anyway. And think about what we've done. We've gone wide receiver, huge need. Defensive end, huge need. Defensive tackle, huge need. The only issue is who's going to play left or right tackle for the Cardinals, but you're not going to be able to exit this draft filling every need. That's why you got to go into free agency, opting to spend some money all over the place. So looking at this, where it falls at pick 66, Bo, I almost am tempted to go back to the defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 3 picks here in this round, and this is the first of 3. Somebody had mentioned it earlier in once again Red Sea, saying Tavondre Sweat, kid out of Texas. I mean, back-to-back selections. This isn't like Steve Keim going Rashard Lawrence and Lecky Fotu in the 4th round. These are 2 guys that were impact makers in the Final Four of college football, in Tavondre Sweat and Chris Jenkins.
I think the best 2 line of scrimmage combinations in college football this year were Texas and Michigan. And so you can't go wrong. It's a meat and potatoes draft after Marvin, and I'm okay with that because the Cardinals, especially their defensive line, they just got pushed around late in the year. And frankly, the teams that didn't beat the Cardinals didn't stick to the run enough. So I think Sweat's the play here. I think, again, you're hoping both pan out, but if one of these guys pops, you're in really good shape. And then we turn around and we've got a lot of the same cast of characters available. Pick 71, Bo. We've gone defense with the last 3 picks. Are you tempted to go running back here? Or is that too rich at 71?
Well, Jonathan Brooks is a really intriguing prospect. He didn't make the decision to leave. He did have the ACL injury, but you have the luxury of James Conner returning for the final year of his 3-year deal.
Yeah.
Could you pick his successor and it pay off with a day 3 pick, or I'm sorry, a day 2 pick with a guy like with Brooks? I mean, it's worth it. I mean, you also could look at Haynes at the guard spot, Jalen McMillan, who I think had a touchdown last night, and a relatively quiet night for McMillan. That the whole wide receiver core for Washington was really good, but man, I don't have a problem with Brooks, but there's also a lot of good running backs left on the board beyond him.
I think it's a special circumstance, and we've talked about it, getting Kyler Murray a power back and James Conner. We all want him to play forever. I don't think that's realistic. I think, Michael Carter was the change of pace they desperately needed. Why not go 3 deep at running back? The value is there for Brooks for me. I too have him as a top 70 prospect, top 65 prospect. I mean, he was fantastic, and he did his best work against. You look at some of these elite programs that they face. I mean, I was really impressed all year by the kid coming off an ACL. He's still young. Running backs can bounce back off of ACLs much better than they used to, and he's proved it. It's not like he tore his ACL and he's got to go through the medical process this offseason. So, assuming he looks good at the combine, they like him. I think you deserve to take a back of this caliber after you've taken your medicine, so to speak.
Yeah, I think the only other option is a Christian Haynes or maybe go back to wide receiver well. And I think that might be too much into the wide receiver.
Let's do it. Let's take Brooks. Let's give Kyler Murray a couple blue chip skill players this draft. And now we look at the landscape of pick 85, their last pick of the top 3 rounds, and some different options that we've faced before. But I think 2 interior offensive linemen, maybe you can't get the heir apparent to DJ Humphries right away, but maybe you can get your starting left guard in 2024.
People did not like the running back selection, but yeah, I mean, there are. Could you get, one of the top centers in the draft and Zach Frazier? Could you find, the successor down the line for Yelda Froholt, who's he's your center next season, regardless of who you take here? Boston College guard.
I mean, it's the ACC, so put an asterisk on it. But 422 pass block snaps, no sacks, no quarterback hits.
People are so big mad at the running back selection. They think
shut up, everybody, leave us alone. Draft.
I mean, really, what you did for the defensive front 7.
We ate our vegetables.
Is there any corner
have
available?
An ice cream sundae? What?
Are there any? Don't yell at me. Are there any who was it making plays for them? Was it Mike Sanders Strill who was making the plays for them last night?
I don't know.
For Michigan, there he is.
Yeah, is that who you want?
He made a big time play. He had 6 picks on the season. He's down there. He's like the 15th best corner probably in the draft.
He had 6 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns this year. God damn. Look at that. Poor Iowa's passing game. Just a complete dumpster. Finally, Kirk Ferentz fired his son. I'm fine with this. Listen, apples to oranges. This is probably where our boy Michael Wilson was drafted this year in terms of most people had him as a fringe 3rd rounder, and they took him at the end of the 3rd round.
Look how far they have. I mean, this is horrible value. I guess just relative to the rankings. But I don't know, man. Guy made plays in the Big Ten.
I'm taking Michigan player. I don't have an issue with this at all. This doesn't bother me at all. You're telling me I can have a kid off the national championship team that was coached by Jim Harbaugh, or a guy for a Boston College team that nobody watched play? Respectfully, this is the play. I have no issue with that. People can give us an F today. We're being spicy in our first mock draft of the offseason. You guys all know anybody in the chat would sign up for this draft tomorrow. You would. Latu, Chris Jenkins, and Marvin Harrison Jr. alone make this a franchise-changing draft. Look at that. Still get an A-. I love it.
I like this. Look, what we did on the front 7 with Latu, Jenkins, and Sweat, and if you add a free agent interior defensive lineman, Jonathan Gannon likes a rotation of 5, and you've got 4 of those 5, including Dante Stills, who is going to be back in this rotation next year.
If you get Wilkins or somebody like that, and Chris Jenkins and Dante Stills and Sweat, I mean, you're cooking with gas suddenly.
You boo the running back spot right now, but when James Conner moves on from this organization after next season,
or if he misses a month again,
ready to go and take on the load, I have no problem with that. They used 1 of 3 3rd-round picks.
I'll be surprised if they don't use either a 3rd or a 4th on a running back. That's a good running back class.
I know he had its ACL tear, B's. You have the luxury, just like what you had with Garrett Williams. to where you could take a guy whose value drops, and you're just taking a really good football player.
Here's the problem I think everybody is trying to convey is he doesn't play much next year. I mean, he might start a couple of games. This draft, that's why I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is so key, because like this draft, you're going to get playmakers on the top end, but like some of these guys, because you're going to fortify this roster in free agency and guys are going to elevate from last year's class. I don't expect the rookies to have the kind of snaps that this past year's rookie class had. I think that was an outlier. So it's okay to take Jonathan Brooks and say, you're going to have a couple starts. You're probably going to have about 100 carries or 75 carries or whatever it is. And then you're going to be the guy in 2025. I have no issue with that. I think James Conner would welcome that. Last year of his contract, he's going to get paid a premium this year. He's almost 30 years old. They're like, it's the same caliber of back. So everybody's clear on what Michael Carter is going to do for you. Like, do you guys remember like when James wasn't available and they didn't have Michael Carter and Keontae Ingram was in there, and it was like DeMercado, who did an admirable job. But I want this run game to continue. I don't want to punt on this run game being a priority for this team just because we get Marvin Harrison Jr. This signifies that we're gonna continue to pound the rock. That's what helped them win games late in the year. That ages well, into November, December, January football. So no issue with that.
When I look at the top backs in this league, Christian McCaffrey was a first-round pick, but Derrick Henry, second-round pick. You had, James Cook, DeAndre Swift, James Conner, Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
These are all guys, the sweet spot is second, third round. And if a guy is with an injury, serious is with the ACL injury, that's going to keep the timetable, obviously keeps him out to probably start the season. Mm-hmm. But at his age and also what he projects to be, I think that's tremendous value to use one of 3 third-round picks. I don't have any problem with that.
They've earned it. They've earned that.
Devon Achane had that?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying he was a second-round pick, and he had a better season probably than Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs did.
Yeah.
It's debatable, but
I love that draft.
I do too. All right. Listen.
No, Red Sea, like Michael Carter is still a big piece of this running back room, but with the idea that, you're building for the future.
Jesus.
He said, did Michael Carter die? No, I mean, 2024, your running back room, it remains the status quo. James Conner, Michael Carter, you get Jonathan Brooks up to speed. James Conner misses time every season. It's death taxes.
He would tell you
James
that.
Conner missing a few games every season.
And I think the best version of James Conner is probably the one that doesn't play 17 games. I think there's a big reason why he was fresh at the end of this year. He missed a month of the season. He came back and he was awesome.
Yeah.
How about the year he scored 20 touchdowns? What happened at the end of the season?
How about this?
Stay healthy.
How about this? Taking this full circle here before we get out of here. I mean, this
podcast is never ending.
You wanted to trade up for Marvin. That was probably the pick you were willing to do.
Well, yeah, I'll light that pick on fire for Marvin Harrison. Like, what are we talking about here? Running back that's not going to play next year, or Hall of Fame level receiver? Not a good argument. I don't, you smart ass. I don't know where you're going with that. Illa Dre, $1.99. He knows what's happening. Best podcast, hands down. That's right. Ruby, $1.99. We get Marvin Harrison Jr. Then which OT draft is going to replace DJ Humphries? That's going to be the question of the offseason. That DJ Humphries was your insurance if you didn't get Olu Fashanu or Joe Alt, which looks like if you get Marvin Harrison Jr., that's a reality. So I don't know, Ruby. That's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. But you had a chance. Paris Johnson Jr. was telling people, what was it yesterday? He's like, I'll play left tackle, whatever's best for the team. So listen, can they find a Yelda Froldholt-esque kind of Band-Aid at that position? Marvin Harrison Jr. makes everything better, but I'm not going to sit here and act like that's not a problem suddenly for this team.
Yeah. Fishbowl Flash. Dermocado is also on the roster. Look, Dermocado is going to be fighting for a roster spot. I hope he's fighting for a roster spot next season. Like, I don't want that. I think that's a long-term play. Something like Brooks or a similar selection is a long-term play that could pay off huge for any team that's willing to invest the draft capital in a player like him.
Not everybody. A lot of the fan base wanted the Cardinals to evolve like Baltimore with Kyler Murray's skill set, tight ends and running backs. That's what the Cardinals became this year. And look, Kyler Murray was super, super efficient. And yeah, you want to add Marvin Harrison Jr. in the mix, but like the Baltimore Ravens go like 6 deep at running back. They had 2 stud tight ends, and Lamar Jackson's going to be the MVP again. Like Kyler Murray, while it's not apples and oranges, you can do a lot of that same stuff. You have to have big backs in this offense, though.
B's saying ignoring the O-line is not it. I don't disagree with that.
It just didn't fall to us there. It just didn't fall to us.
Well, I mean, Christian Haynes from UConn was on the board.
And the kid from Washington when we took Chris Jenkins.
Look, I think Jenkins, if he didn't show you just firsthand last night, going up against that very same Washington offensive line, that
he's special.
He's going to be a rock solid defensive lineman in the NFL.